Hello everyone, today is December 2nd, and this is a look and discussion of the upcoming dangerous potential for severe weather tomorrow. Once again, we're looking at another dangerous severe weather event. Seems like this winter we just can't get a break from the severe weather. While this one might not look all that bad compared to December 14th's event, that's not really saying much considering how high of an event that was. Basically, December 14th was a very high-end event for this area. So it's not much to say that December 14th's event looks like nothing compared to this one, considering that 90% of severe weather events would be less than that. With that being said, potential is still very high for this event. With that said, the potential could still be very high for this event, and we'll have to see how it plays out. But with the ingredients in place, it's very easy that we could see a higher end event once again. First, let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center's outlook. Now, if we first take a look at today, we see a very large enhanced risk across northwestern Louisiana, northeastern Texas, eastern Oklahoma, and all of Arkansas. The biggest threat for today being tornadoes, with a 10% hatch risk for tornadoes across the entire area. If we go into tomorrow, we'll notice that the enhanced shifts eastward, and this is where we will come into play. Notice how for our area, areas to the north and west of the lake will be under an enhanced risk, while the areas to the coast will be near a slight risk. With this enhanced risk also comes a 10 hatched for tornadoes. Now the regular probabilities represent a probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point. So if you are anywhere within an enhanced risk, you have a 10% chance of seeing a tornado within 25 miles of you. Now the hatch marks represent a 10% or greater probability of a significant tornado hitting within 25 miles of a point. Basically means the same thing as that, it just deals with significant tornadoes instead of regular tornadoes. So obviously, if you're under the hatch marks, it's a lot greater of a threat. Also, we see a 15% chance of wind within 25 miles of a point. And a threat that we haven't talked much about this year will actually come into play here with hail. It's not often that we see a hail threat down here, but the ingredients do look to come together for this one that we might have one. Now let's get into the current Synopsis. First, on satellite, it is very obvious to see where the upper level trough is. As it has continued to move eastward, we're seeing thunderstorm development begin across eastern Texas and into Arkansas. If we look at all the station plots, we can see a surface low somewhere over western Oklahoma. With that is an attached warm front somewhere up here, what appears to be a dry line extending on the upper level trough, and a cold front which is lagging behind. Out ahead of the dry line and south of the warm front, we have a gush of moisture coming from the Gulf. Across the southern half of this area, we're noticing very large areas of 70-degree dew points. If you're not in the 70-degree dew points, there's basically 60-degree dew points all the way up to the warm front and the dry line. With the copious amounts of moisture, the warm sector is prime. If we look at infrared satellite, we notice storms are beginning to blow up. Now these storms will create the enhanced risk across the area today. However, tomorrow as this trough moves eastward, that is when our threat will come into play. So, what makes this threat so big? Well, for that, we'll take a look at the models. So first we'll begin by looking at the 6 a.m. run of the HRRR. If we play this out, we notice that areas to our northwest go under the fire for the storms today, and we could see a few storms today but nothing severe. As we move through tonight, notice how storms start to get closer and closer until finally, there. By about 10 a.m., storms begin to explode. This is where the danger comes into play. Any of these storms could be supercells. As the HRRR depicts, there are a bunch of them. Any of these could be severe. Now, what environment will these supercells have? To look at the environment, let's swap around with some products real quick. First product we're going to look at is CAPE, or the energy in the atmosphere. As we get into Tuesday, notice how energy values skyrocket. We get values in the 2,000 to 2,500 range. This is plenty enough instability for storms to thrive. If we look at mid-level CAPE, we see the same thing. Values of energy between 1,500 and 2,000, which again is plenty enough. With energy not being a problem, let's take a look at shear values. To begin, first we'll look at the surface winds. Notice how as we go throughout the morning and then during the day, Tuesday, we see winds are southerly. With the southerly winds, that encourages turning in the atmosphere as our upper level winds are moving more this way. Like I said, this creates the turning that's needed for supercells. If we look at our lower level winds with a low level jet, we see that upwards of 50 knots of wind to the southwest to northeast direction. Now the limiting factor looks to be the mid-level winds, which actually are pretty weak for our normal severe weather standards. Typically we would look for a continuing increase in speed, however, these winds are about the same strength as the low level jet. This could be a problem with supercells. However, something that could very easily balance this out is our upper level winds, which are screaming above 100 knots. This creates upper level divergence, which is needed for our storms to fire in the first place. With all those ingredients, it's no secret that our supercell composite numbers are pretty high. For 18 hours, our numbers are between 4 and 7. With all that said, storms are possible and supercells are a fair bet. If we continue past 11 a.m., we see that storms continue to fire and supercells continue to be possible, until finally the line moves through around 1 in the morning. After that occurs, a cold front will come through, knocking temperatures down. If a storm has yet to hit you, do not let your guard down thinking that this can't happen to you. We've had so many severe weather events that it's bound to happen to you eventually. Just because a storm hasn't happened yet or a tornado hasn't happened yet does not mean a tornado cannot happen. If a tornado warning is issued, listen to the warning. Do not act like it's a false alarm just because of many other times you've had tornado warnings where nothing happens. Every tornado warning is justified. With all that said, make sure you have a way to receive warnings over this time period. Stay safe, and I hope to see you for my live stream of this event tomorrow. Thanks for watching.